On our way back from ball practice, I'm going to talk 2-year-olds now with you. ACDC has been training well. The splints will be done. They're getting done today, I believe. We had, on a splint and castration list, we had 11 horses. So quite a few horses needed to be done. ACDC already got the latter part of that list covered. We castrated him about a month ago. The splints now need to be done, and then he'll be back on track. But I'll tell you what, he's not too far off track right now. The horse has been training well and looked good again the other day training. So happy to get the splints crowd, and happy to see him start progressing the way I would like to see him do that. Aunt Sarah has been great and continues to train very good. I know she made that break on Amy the other day, but that was Amy would be the first to. She was angry because it was she was caught off guard, right? Aunt Sarah was a little grabby. She was bottled up in a hole. And as I said to Amy, that's why we train them the way we do. We need them to not do that in a race, right? So Aunt Sarah will be back at it on Wednesday. We're training on Wednesday. Blue Rare, as I told you guys in the list this week, top of the food chain. I think she kind of dethroned Perfect Thought a little bit this week. She's been exceptionally good. A lot of those horses had Perfect Thought has been since day one, and continues to be one of our best horses. But Blue Rare has just been outstanding the last little while. Very, very impressive filly. I can't wait to watch her continue to finish off her training. Capistrano Nights is training good. As I said to my partner John the other day on Capistrano Nights, looks more understanding of her work. She isn't, when you ask her to go, she doesn't just bolt like she's terrified. She understands what you're asking her to do and how she needs to go about doing it, which is, to turn that corner is a big deal, and to do it in March is impressive. So I'm happy to see her starting to mature and grow up. Captain Doolittle, found a couple of splints on Doolittle. Maybe I was a little hard on him the other day. Then I said I was a little disappointed with the break he made. It didn't seem like it was any sort of forced error, and it kind of was. That splint looks like it was bothering him a little bit. That'll be cryoed this week. Be cryoed today. Captain Doolittle. Cherry's girl, impressed with the way she did her work the other day, for the simple reason she had a quarter crack the other day that was killing her. Well, I don't know if it was killing her. It was bothering her quite a bit before and after the training mile. But in the training mile, I was impressed with the way she was able to pack it away and get her work done. Didn't look sore, didn't look off, didn't hesitate, didn't flinch, just did her work. That's important. And I was very happy to see her do it. Degas trained good up until maybe 2 weeks ago. She has been better, but her last training mile was good again. We had to put some weight on her. We'll take that weight back off. And she has a splint that could be attended to. That will be and is in Dr. Latessa's wheelhouse. He'll be the one to make that decision. Sometimes these splints are there, they're present, but they're not very active, and they don't need to be touched up. You don't want to poke the bear in that regard. So we'll just, whatever Dr. Latessa decides will be what we do with all the horses, and especially Degas. If she gets a little bumpy in the corners, we throw the hobbles on her for a little bit also. I mean, listen, I can go as fast as you want with Melisandre. She's just super handy with them on, and I can do that easily with Degas. I bring that up because you're both by chimpanzee. Diosa Della Danza has done her very, very best work her last 2 weeks. Very impressed with this filly. Great job by Jason Merriman the other day and over the last 2 weeks with her. She has looked very, very, very strong. I was thoroughly impressed with the way she trained the other day. Wheeled up alongside me, sat there, waited, and put me away with a filly that I think very highly of in Sweet Lake. So Diosa Della Danza on her way forward in a big way. Don't Ask Again, getting better every week. Very happy with the reports from Jason. He goes to there almost every week. He said every week, a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. Baby steps, big steps, it doesn't matter as long as they're forward steps. And Don't Ask Again is improving. Dune continues to look good in Ontario. I hear great things about Dune. Emerald Tom has looked good for a very long time. Made it onto my top 10 list. And these lists are a little more important this time of year, especially the horses that are continue to climb and ascend, right? Yeah, as I said in the video earlier, you start to see the cream kind of rise to the top now. You have that group of horses that are still trying to put it all together. That's fine. Some of them are strong, some of them are powerful, some of them are stubborn, some of them just need a little more work. Those horses are near the bottom, they're making their way up. Then you have the horses in the middle that have been doing it well, but now are starting to separate themselves. Either you're just an okay middle-of-the-road horse, nothing wrong with that. We've had lots of my favorite horses over the last 5-10 years have been in that very group. But then you start to see that separation from the top pack. And in that top pack right now, there's probably 13 to 16 or 17 horses that have just done it right and continue to do it right, understand their work, and are good at it every single week. Those are very, very important horses for us. Those miles that they put in go a long way to what they're going to be in the summer. The quicker you can get into that top group, I think the easier it becomes for you in the summertime. And really happy with what I've seen. Those groups, again, and it can happen. You're going to see horses regress out of that top group. That's disappointing. That doesn't mean they can't rejoin in the summer. But impressed with what I've seen so far from those top horses. And most definitely Emerald Tom is one of them. Go Strong Hanover, teetering on one of our top 3 horses. And really, if push came to shove and you step back and look at the entire body of work of every horse, that top 3 or 4 changes, right? Go Strong Hanover, Perfect Thought, 1-2 up there for sure. Steady Volo also. And, you know, I put Blue Rare on top because she has exploded forward the last month and a half. But those horses have been mainstays in there forever. Go Strong Hanover has definitely been head to know, kind of in the middle, making his way forward. Had some pesky quarter cracks that were bothering him. When they were fresh and they were bothering him, he did make breaks. When they weren't, he looked rather good. I want to see him put together a more effective full body of work moving forward. There's no reason that he can't do that. Hanger 1, Bull in a China shop. That's kind of the way, and this isn't his fault. This is a green shoe. This is indicative of the breed, the green shoe breed for the most part. Now, as I say that, Go Strong Hanover is totally different than any green shoe I've ever seen in my life. Nevertheless, Hanger the 1, not that much different from Hanger 1 is not that much different from his brother. They did such a tremendous job managing that colt last year, and I hope we can follow somewhat totally different footsteps, but hopefully when we get to the track, similar trajectories for the horses. His brother's an exceptionally gifted animal, and and Hanger 1 wants to be a good horse. He just needs to relax, pay attention. So this is just an immaturity thing. But as I said, Bull in a China shop. He's a Fearless Peter, has put it all together. Kind of that middle of the road horse that if he jumped up and won a big mile in the summer, it would not be shocking to me. Does everything right, and when he's got his mind on his work, he's a nice colt. So I want to see more of the nice colt, and I think you will see that moving forward since he's been castrated. Just a totally different horse from what I can see. Highest Honors continue, another horse since we castrated him, totally different horse. He was so rude when we had first castrated him. He definitely needed to be, and now just a totally different horse. Just a really, really nice horse to be around. In New York, continues to excel and do. He's a little stud too. I don't know if that'll last forever, but he wants to do his work well and continues to do his work well. I've been happy with in New York and continue to be happy with him. Jailbird Jog, very fast filly. Did not crack my top 10 list simply because she needs to do it in a more consistent way. She has been doing her work well. She's been working hard at it, and I expect that will continue moving forward. Happy with what I've seen from her the last few weeks. Jolene Hall, I jumped over Joe J. Fotag. Nice filly, middle of the road. You know, she has the frame and the ability to be a top filly. Let's see if she uses it and pushes forward into that, let's say, upper echelon of our training horses. Right now, she's kind of stuck in that middle, right? The ones that I said are kind of working their way forward and just haven't really decided what they're going to be yet. Jolene Hall, little erratic, but when she's on, she's on. And there's days where I see her and say, that's the filly that I want to see. There's other days that I watch her and I say, not so much that one. So, consistency. She needs to work on her consistency as we get her trained down. Judy's Money, not a hard fix at all. I worked her extremely hard in the middle of the week. She was making breaks, getting out of gear for no particular reason. I couldn't really put my finger on any reason she was. It came to training day, and I just said, enough's enough. Put the hobbles on that filly. Although she'd been perfectly gated all along, just snapped the hobbles on her, and away she went. She was awesome and ran me down the other day with the Romancer and looked very, very good doing it. Leland Hanover. I can't say enough about this colt. Didn't crack my top 10, but he was a good 5 weeks behind everybody. This horse, by the time we got him started going, he's going to be a very big boy, and he does everything in the most nonchalant yet perfect way every single week. I love Leland Hanover, and I think he's going to be one of our I really believe he's going to be one of our better colts this summer. Lifting Legend in that middle of the road meaty part of the order, so to speak, in our training groups. Overall, I don't care that he's in Ontario or Ohio, how he's doing it. We did castrate him. We're working forward with him. And I think the same as most of the muscle masses. There's the meat and potato horses that we always want, right? Everybody wants to have a world champion, a state winner, a state champion. Everybody wants those. But at the end of the day, it's always important to have worker bees, right? The ones that just get it done, go out and get it done. And Lifting Legend, just reminds me of one of those horses all the time. Love Sensation, probably one of the most improved horses over the last 3 weeks. Much like Leland Hanover, missed a lot of time at the start. We did have a procedure done with her not even 5-6 weeks ago, it seems like, maybe 7 weeks ago. But she has been so good the last little bit. And the other day, she just came first over and dummied everybody. She looked very, very good and an impressive looking training mile the other day. Step one to what she maybe could be in the future, a really, really impressive looking filly. Megan's Lucky Day. I know she ran the other day. I know people hate when she doesn't. I like Megan's Lucky Day. I have, and I think she's going to be one. She's one of those horses that she will peak, she will be consistent, and it will happen closer to June. So it's really hard for me to put her in anywhere near the top. But trust me, she is a filly that is always on my radar, and always a filly that I'm looking at when we go on the track, and I'm always eager to go with her. I will go with her, I believe, on Wednesday again. Millie Girl, did she not? I think she made the top 10. She should have. Just a tremendous filly. Just does her work so good and so professional on the track for a young horse. Really like her. My name is Sweeney. Speed is there. She's got that Heston mouth on her sometimes. Can really hook onto you. But has speed, has talent, can go forward. What's she going to be? I don't know. Somewhere between, I would guess, an effective overnight horse and a Stallion Series type filly. There's nothing wrong with that. Neuromancer, I think you guys know how I feel about him. I think he is one of our better horses. I love his attitude, and after this week, the performance he put on, work ethic-wise and focus-wise, yeah, there's a good horse in there. I don't know when he's going to show up full-time consistently, but there's a good horse in there. And I really like Neuromancer. Perfection Hanover has slid a bit. You guys know it. You can see it. I don't have to come on here and shine everybody on. He slid a little bit since he gets sick at Christmas time. He had this raw, explosive power, and then he gets sick, and it just kind of fizzled out a little bit. It's not bad. There's nothing wrong with him. But I do expect a little bit more. I don't think it has anything to do. I don't think he needs to be castrated. There's no reason not to at this point. He just needs to... The horse at Christmas, Santa needs to bring him back. He just kind of fizzled a bit when he gets sick, and hopefully we can find that horse again. There's nothing. The only disappointment is that I didn't see again. What I saw for the entire month of December when we started training him has vanished a little bit, and I'm wondering when it's going to come back. At time, you think, oh, just give him time, he'll catch back up, it'll be fine, and he will. But I just don't see that revved up colt that I saw before, and I don't know when he'll arrive back. I'm not sure. That's my feelings on Perfection. I think he's a good horse that could be much better, and I can't tell you why just yet. It's not his attitude, I can tell you that. Perfect Thought, again, top of the food chain, and has been, these two horses were top of the food chain at Christmas, right? We talked about them back to back. Perfect Thought, Perfection Animal, two of our best horses. That went on for over a month. Perfect Thought is still there. Perfection needs to come back. So Perfect Thought, I put her in number 2 this week, but when you look at her entire, as I say this a lot, her entire body of work, she's not the number 2 horse. She's been number 1 for so long. It's really hard to knock her off that number 1 posting. When you're looking at it week to week, fine, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're looking at as I see that entire body of work. She's been so good from day one. I just think that she always will be 1, 2, 3 in our barn, straight through into the racing season. Pretty Eyes and Lies. She was set to train today, but the rain is going to give her another reprieve for 5 or 6 days. Just a beautiful filly. So happy, and happy for Amy, because this was, the entire story of Pretty Eyes and Lies is easy. Lawmaker was the first horse that made a big splash for the stable. He was the first horse that meant so much to us. Amy loved him. She took care of him. That was her baby. And then I sold him in Sweden. And her sister come up for sale. The first one, I could feel the death stare from Amy when I was the underbidder on the filly. I let her go, and she didn't turn out to be a very good horse. We bought the sister by What the Hill. And the only problem with Eyes at 10 was that she used to get at her knees. She used to interfere quite a bit. So rather than continue through her 3-year-old season, we opted to breed her. Bred her to international money, and unfortunately at the time, that one too stood off a little bit. Now, it is worth noting, and it is important that I tell you that Lawmaker himself was not perfectly correct. He stood off a little bit, never touched the knee. Well, the funny thing about Pretty Eyes and Lies is she's not going to touch her knees either. Stands off, but she doesn't come anywhere close to them, and she has been great. But because she stands off and because she takes her work so seriously, it does maybe leave her knees a little vulnerable. And I was very cognizant of this. Put her on the X-ray list 2 weeks ago when we wanted to have a few of them looked at again. And Dr. Tessa said, listen, if you're saying she gets over on the right or gets on the right line a little bit, and maybe she's a little uncomfortable in the corners, I could see where those third carpals, there's a little remodeling there. It's natural, it's normal. I see it all the time. I wouldn't say there's anything to worry about, but it wouldn't hurt to maybe give her a couple of weeks off her training, blister her knees a couple of times, and then see how she feels. That has been done. Now we're at the end of that. We're going to start her back up. It was going to be today, and now it's going to be on Wednesday. So pretty happy with what I've seen from Pretty Eyes and Lies, but again, super excited for Amy because this filly means a lot to her. So Pretty Eyes and Lies has been good and continues to train good. Rico Tubbs made the Splint list, made a break 2 weeks ago. I think that maybe is a little more explainable than it was before. I expect him to come forward in a big way after we cryo this Splint. Riding the Rodeo's been training great in Ontario. I thought she looked very good the other day. A little more reserved, a little more subdued and quiet, which is always important. So Riding the Rodeo, happy with what I've seen from her. Rose Run Bobby continues to get better and better and better. Very smart filly, but 2 weeks from being perfect, I think. She just needs to put it all together. I think she's right there. It just has that light bulb has to, go on, and it will very, very soon. Royal Duchess, a worker. She's a worker bee, middle of the road type filly. Buckeye, maybe if we're lucky. Reminds me a lot of Coupe de Ville, and that's a good thing. She was a good filly, and I can't wait to see what Royal Duchess does. She's gonna be a nice filly to drive because she takes her work seriously. Royal Flush Dio. We're going to castrate Royal Flush Dio. He's really noisy in the barn today. I think he's noisy because he's feeling good in springtime, which is fine. Even to focus on his work. It gives us some time off too. With the time off, we castrate him. Gives us some time to work on that right stifle. It is a little weaker than the left one. This isn't unusual or weird. Happens all the time. I believe time off, work on the stifle, come back full speed ahead for Royal Flush Dio. He is a nice colt. He does have some talent, and I think we're going to see how talented he really is. But what's the date today? The 15th, April 10th, or thereabouts will be a big training mile for Royal Flush Dio. Mark it on your calendar. Simply Chaotic continues to be good in Ontario. I like this colt. I like everything about him. I haven't got today's update. I got one from Wednesday. I want to get one on this colt this week. Solidarity trained yesterday. Also, they said he trained good. He was in Lifting Legend, so obviously they wanted to go with a slower set, which I don't really think either of them needed a slower set. One guy was coming off castration 3-4 weeks ago, and the other guy was coming off a splint. They could have been in the general public, so to speak. Instead, they had a slower mile for them. Steady Volo. 1, 2, 3 every week. Continues to be one of those horses. Just a really, really nice colt. Can't wait to see what he becomes this summer. Again, no one knows, right? I can tell you I like this one, I like that one, I like this one. It comes down to depth, ability, talent, but most importantly, work ethic, right? Work ethic. And that fuels the first two. With all the talent in the world, if you have bad work ethic, garbage. Not going to work out. It's not going to happen, right? So when it comes to, and this is the same with ball players, right? I say this to Ollie all the time. Work harder than the kids around you. Doesn't matter about how good or how talented you are if you don't approach it with the right work ethic. And Ollie has good work ethic. I hope a lot of these colts do. Some of them, you'll see them waver as you get close and you start feeding them that 2-minute 58 speed, and at that point you're going to be able to separate everybody. That ladder is going to be very clear, 1 through 40, whatever. It's going to be very, very clear to all of you. But we're all going to have to wait till July to do it. Right now, it's all extrapolation. I'm trying to look at the horses, how they've done their work, and trying to figure out how that work is going to look in June. It's best guess. I can only tell you what I see, and I can see the work ethic. I can see the ability. I can see the talent, and that's where I give you these explanations on all the horses. Steph's Hope was on that knee list. Nothing serious, just on the knee list. I was going to go with her today. I will go with her on Wednesday, I believe. I think this filly's sitting on the precipice of big, strong hind end on her, right? Can really dance. It's a good family she's coming from. So I expect Steph's Hope to be a good filly. Her only concern at the time was her knees. We have addressed it. We'll continue to address it. And as I said, same as Pretty Eyes and Lies and those other horses, right? Just keep your eyes open. Watch them closely. We'll be able to get them all to the track, I hope. Sterling Hanover has got better. Castration was key for him. His work ethic was in question. His attitude was in question. Much better now. Amy went with him the last 2-3 weeks. Looked good the other day training. Looked great the week before that. I know he made one break on her. She just put him in a spot she shouldn't. And she knew it, but it wasn't anything she do. She tried to be third over, but I let the first over horse go. He let the next one go, and all of a sudden Sterling Hanover's first over. His attitude's coming a long way, but can't throw him into the pool with no floaters on just yet, and it just didn't end up well at that point. Stay left, stay covered up. These are things we had to do with 3-point blue chip too. Oddly enough, they're both Walners. Not shocking. Just know your old, know where you have to be, and Amy knows that too. Supermind is, somebody asked me, is he good? Is he good? He's probably one of our best horses, really, when he brings his A game. And it's just that he's a big, growthy colt. Jason's gone with him the last 2 times. The horses look fantastic. Check the last quarter of the training mile when Blue Rare got up and beat him and Leland Hanover. Then you'll see then you'll be able to see quite easily what's what at the barn. Supermind's a nice colt. Sweet Lake. Yes, man, I got beat fair and square the other day. I didn't think that filly could come first over and put me away, and she did. Sweet Lake's getting better and needs to come forward. They all need to come forward and continue to, but I like her attitude, I like her work ethic. Took the flip-flops off her, and we'll see how she does on Wednesday. I'm going to go with her again, I believe. Tomboy Strong, just a very, very nice filly. Really underappreciated at the barn, and I think I can tell you why. Same reason she is for me sometimes, because of her brother. Right? Her brother was a dud. He fooled me. All these things that I'm saying nice about all these nice horses, I said about that horse. I don't play nice. Said it all last year. He was a week from being our next generation entry, and just got to 2 minutes and decided, I'm okay. It's very heartbreaking when that happens. Not just to all of you and my partners out there, but to me, somebody who stood behind this horse and said, "No, this is a nice horse. This is a good horse." And then he just took his lackluster work ethic and just rammed it down my throat. And when push came to shove, I had to just look at it and say, I was wrong. It wasn't as good as I hoped. And then his sister comes out, she looks just like him. She's much better. Her work ethic is way better than his. Her speed, the way she can pick up speed quickly and carry it, much better than him. And I hope that leads to a better horse. It should. Uncle Danny, again, one of our top of the food chain type colts. We do have some talent in Ohio for this year, and this guy is definitely one of it. Is some of it. Really nice colt. Made that break the other day, and then Jason looked at him and said, I think This horse has been 5 weeks since we treated him for EPM, and one of the key indicators is when you can take their tail and kind of just bend it up over their back a little bit, that lack of power. Most horses, you grab their tail and try to move them. Some of them, it's almost impossible. It's like a board. You can't do anything. And those ones, you can just kind of bend it over. It's usually one of the key indicators that maybe EPM is present and it is playing a negative role. And the reason that Jason had looked at him very smartly was because he really couldn't explain the break he made. He said he was trotting along good and he just rolled off. This horse got a slick gait. I don't understand it. And that's not to say one may not equal the other. But in this case, I think he's probably onto something. We've since treated Uncle Danny, and I suspect he'll be a much better horse. If he's way better training next week, then you can be sure we are on the right track. Woodmere Bullet is training good. He's been in 233 in Charlottetown. Smitty said he trained very, very good the other day. He was very happy with him. He's been in 16 with Betcha and 33 with Woodmere Bullet. And Zena Kemp was on our list. She might be on our splint list also. Her hind sesamoids are bothering her a bit. We blistered them. Her knees were still a little bit open. Those third carpals were a little bit reactive. They were a little bit reactive also. So we had given her the 2 weeks off, blistered her hind ankles and her knees. She was set to come back today. Now the rain cost her a training trip today. And then Jason told me, she's got a little splint there. Might be bothering her. So if Dr. Latessa chooses to cryo that splint, then she'll get a little more time off. But otherwise, she's ready to go right now. So that's it. I just arrived home. I'm all done my list for today. Ollie's done practice today. All I have now is racing. I hope the weather stays the same. There's a lot of rain off and on and in the area. So hopefully it stays good for me tonight. I'm going to race 2, 4, and 5, and then all done for the evening. An early conclusion to tonight. Good luck to all my partners tonight, whether you're racing in Ohio or whether you're racing in Ontario. Freedom Hill is their best shot tonight, I think. Hopefully she'll do well. Ontario looks a little stiff. I see Jody picked up the horses as James picked off them, so I have to be a little concerned that maybe they're a little tough tonight. We'll see. And then Patrick the Prana tomorrow, and then you know what? Next week we do it all again. My 2 points for next week, the qualifier for Arrowhead Hanover. As I said, super excited. The race for Melisandre, 8-hole or otherwise, it won't matter with her in a maiden. It's not that she's a layover, but off the gate, there won't be any problem getting her spotted. She can snap right off the car, and I'll sit her wherever I want going into the first turn. So that is the week in a nutshell. It's been a fantastic run. I've had much worse Marches, I can tell you that. It's been a great end of February, great start to March. Spring is here. Summer's coming. Take care, everybody.